Welcome to the Attitudeshield podcast, the true mental operating script rewriting program designed for those looking for a change from within. No more hype or sugar-coated promises. This is to-the-point guidance on how to change the way we think to grab the life we always wanted. Are you ready for the change? Now your host, David L. Parker.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the next training session of Attitudeshield. I'm glad you're here. I really am. It's an early morning for me. Actually, it's a mid-morning for me. And this one is going to be pretty hard punching. So if you're still working on the basics of your Attitudeshield, if you're still weak in the knees a little bit about some things, you may want to turn the volume down or go back and listen to one of the first 100 episodes, because we're going to go down a road today that I guarantee some people are going to be uncomfortable with, because it's all about taking people for granted. It's all about taking relationships for granted. It's all about not seeing the value of a person while something is happening, while a challenge is going on, and they losing their value, they losing their, I don't know, how do you want to put this? They're part of your inner circle or in the first three layers of your circle, and something doesn't go right, so you treat them like garbage, and you expect it to be okay because you have a waiver for how you treat people. Hate to tell you this, no you don't. So when I get on this subject, or I go down this road, I talk to people about this, which isn't very often, because most people don't want to really have a conversation about this. Most people want to hide from how they truly act in a frustrating moment. See, I believe that you go ahead, you put some energy into what a person says, but then you watch what they do. And I believe that there are people that make it into your inner circle or your inner circles, levels 1, 2, and 3, that are wonderful, great people with the greatest intention, who just don't have the ability under stress to treat the people in their inner circle with respect. They just don't have that ability. When something isn't going their way, they lash out. When something isn't going their way, their operating script tells them that it's okay for them, and I've been guilty of this, but it's okay for them to hurt the people in their circle. And this is one of the biggest challenges we have to work on, is it's not okay. It's not okay to give softeners and or waivers to people just because of this or that, while holding the other people to a higher standard. So that's the hardest part about true relationships, is realizing that this even playing field has bumps and rocks and ruts in it. But that doesn't mean that we don't, this thing's on Do Not Disturb. I guess it doesn't listen to me. Anyway, these rocks and bumps and ruts can trip you up quick, fast, and in a hurry. They sure can. They can cause you all kinds of problems. But you have to have some kind of foundation that helps you work around it. You have to have this ability or understanding that people don't always know everything to tell you. They don't know everything to tell me. That sometimes when they leave you hanging because it's been a bad moment, you didn't do it on purpose. Sometimes, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen, there is information that you don't realize to share. I mean, what are we, clairvoyant? Attitudeshield talks about just take the information, even if it's late. Just take what you're given, even if it's not when you needed it. And try not to beat verbally the people that you expected something from and they didn't give it to you, while acting holier than thou. That'll get you F-bombed. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Relationships are tough. Friendships are tougher. People all the time talk about, well, have you seen the divorce rate? I'm never getting married because, 65, 85, 95, whatever percent. What is that old joke? 68% of statistics are made up on the spot and they work 86% of the time. Anyway, the divorce rate is so high. Oh, yeah? What's the friendship failure rate? How many people have you called friend that you don't have? How many people have you had a relationship in a friendly manner with that didn't stick around? How many? Thousands? Because we don't understand how to play by guidelines. We don't understand what it means to give and take. We don't understand that. We don't accept people. We act like we do. It's the old Garth Brooks line. We bury the hatchet, but leave the handle sticking out. Well, sometimes people pull the handle out and beat you with it because you're friends, because you're part of the inner circle. So why do so many friends get kicked to the curb? Because it's easy to do, boys and girls. It's easier than ending a relationship with a friend, with a significant other. Smoking a relationship that's a friendship is as easy as I'm done putting up with you. How do you not get there? Well, one, you try to not to base that relationship on statistics or what a person has. You try to base that relationship on what they bring to the table and how they treat. If you do that, it's funny, as I take these courses at Liberty University, read this article about a tribe in South Africa that when somebody does something wrong, they literally surround this person and talk good about them for hours. Everybody in the tribe talks about the nice things or the good things this person has done, to try to remind them that there's good in everybody and that just because a bad moment happened, it shouldn't be the end of things. But when we take people for granted, we're literally writing a check to them that is up to including ending your relationship. The only way you're going to get around that pain, around these challenges, is to remember the good. But unfortunately, the person that you're remembering the good of can sometimes take your ability to do that and use it against you. Oh, they'll let me treat them like garbage because they do. Well, that runs out too. It's like an old thing that I think about all the time. And never tell anybody everything. We'll do Attitudeshield for years and I'll never teach you everything. Why? Because sometimes in life when you teach somebody everything, like my mentor would say, he would teach people how to be wedding photographers and they'd always end up being competition. And I've taught people things that I've learned in the restaurant, they end up being competition. A lot of times if you teach everything, you end up teaching your future enemy. Not because of anything you did, but just because that's what they want to be. You have to be careful of these things. You have to sometimes sit back and drink a cup of coffee, right? And you know what I'm going to say? If you're enjoying the show, go ahead and click on the description, the link, and buy us a cup of coffee here at #Attitudeshield. Help support the show. And if you want to, and something else I'd love you to do is share it on your social media. Things are getting very interesting out there. The world is starting to come out of this pandemic. Again, I'm not going to go into the politics of it, but I'm really not a fan of people who prey on the fear of children, because, that's what a bully does. 1, 2, and that's what some people have done. Anywho, be careful with your friendships. Treat them with kid gloves. Yes, jokes are cracked. Yes, comments are made. Yes, things happen. But one thing about a relationship you never want to hear anybody say is, listen, I know you love me, but I don't feel loved by you. Think about that. I know you love me, but I don't feel loved by you. That's the perfect example, description, if you will, of me and my father, who passed away in January. I knew he loved me. I just never felt like he did. Had that kind of situation, as I'm sure you have, with plenty of people. You know you love them, but you don't feel loved by them. You feel run over. You feel taken for granted. You feel anything but loved, which is always an interestingly hard thing to deal with. I think one of my things that I hate the most, or I work the hardest against, is that not feeling loved by people. Because then after that, if you don't feel loved by your friend and they sort of take you for granted, you really start, for me, I actually truly and honestly, again, hashtag Attitudeshield, trying to rewrite this thing, I get defensive. I go into self-defense mode. I go into what I call overreactive rejection. Overly active rejection is a human reaction where a person goes out of their way to protect themselves and goes too far, smashes relationships, causes problems. Now, I don't do that anymore, but there was a time in my life that I did. There was absolutely a time in my life that you were guaranteed that I was going to overreact and reject people back 10 times worse than they rejected me. Plenty of people do that. If you know that about yourself, you have to rewrite it. One of my self-defense mechanisms when I find myself in what I call good morning, mouth, the position of granted, in other words, somebody's already taken me for granted, is to not really talk out loud about the subject. See, we talk about how these ears hear everything you say. So if I stay on something and I'm like, oh, well, this person did this to me, and they did this to this, they did this to this, they did this, repeating it over and over and over again. All I'm doing is stirring up. I am stirring up the energy. I'm stirring up the anger. I'm stirring up the bad side of something, which is just, I don't understand it. Why would we do that? Why would you want to go out of your way to work yourself into a frenzy so you overreact on things, right? And I met a lot of people. I myself at one time said this. You heard the old analogy, success is the best revenge. So, all these friends we've talked about you've lost, these significant others we've talked about you've lost, these enemies, these frenemies, these different people, and people talk about success is the best revenge. And I gotta say, bullshit. No, it ain't. And I want it to stop. If you are one of these people who literally thinks that success is the best revenge, I have to ask you not to think that way, because I 100% disagree. 1,000%. 1,000,000%. Every dime I'm ever going to make in the rest of my life % disagree. Doesn't matter what you do, guys and gals. It doesn't matter what you do. You're going to have people who don't like you. You're going to have haters. You're going to have people that don't support you. People who don't believe in you. People who don't think you have a shot at any kind of success in your life. People who think you're just straight garbage. People who just hope that you fail. Why? Secretly they probably feel justified in their excuse for settling in their own lives, for kicking you to the curb in their life. That's got to be one of my favorites. You're happy that I'm failing because you failed. You're happy that I'm failing because something went bad between us, which, of course, when anything goes bad before you, here's that the granted thing, taking people for granted thing again. When something goes bad, it's always the other person's fault. I have been in business relationships, personal relationships, friend relationships, where both of us took the other one for granted or whatever, and it didn't end well and it was all because of me or all because of them. There is no damn thing as all because of one or the other. It's a mixture, right? And just because you want to feel justified, or people want to feel justified by doing you more damage continuously, it's because they realize that they screwed up. They realize that there was something going on in life that they could have been a better part of, could have been a huger success of, could have actually gone the way they wanted to, but they screwed it up. And then you screwed it up back. So where I'm going with this is, if your success is rooted in another person and not rooted in whom you are and where you're going, your higher purpose, if you will, you should seriously take some time and redefine your vision and your vision of success, your version and your vision, the VV of success. Winning and succeeding should never be about proving people wrong. You know, it doesn't have to be winning against other people, which is also a way of saying if someone wins, that means someone loses. In a capitalistic environment, that's not how it works. It's not someone wins if someone loses. In a human relationship, it should be not if someone wins, someone loses. Now, I don't want you to get me wrong. I love competition. I do. I adore competition. It can create healthy grounds for growth. It creates fertile soil for improvement. But we're not fighting against these people. We're not fighting against the them. You ever heard it? Well, they or them said this. You're fighting against everything inside of yourself that says you're not good enough to have what it takes. This poser syndrome people talk about. The voice that says you're not allowed. This voice in your head that says you failed and you know the truth, but you must blame other people. See, there's like a mental disorder out there, I swear. And I know you're not supposed to say that anymore. Well, I really don't give a shit what you're not supposed to say. But there's literally people out there that are so screwed up that, and they come in and out of your circle, that really don't understand that it wasn't everybody else's failure. It wasn't everybody else's actions that you have a part in it. And they really feel like they're not allowed. It doesn't matter how much money they have. It doesn't matter how successful they've been. They literally continually hear this voice that they're not allowed to be successful. So they keep going out to do things like building a bigger house or buying the next car or whatever they can to show the world that they are allowed, even though they keep hearing in their head. Because it's a version of them. It's an operating script that's out of date that wants to pull them back, stop them from disrupting the comfort of the status quo, if you will. It's just this old operating script that doesn't want you to move forward. Remember, if the one you're working on now could take you to the level of success and happiness that you're looking for, it would. But since it can't and it hasn't, you have to upgrade it. You have to fight against this version. And that's connected back to being taken for granted. See, if you feel like you were taken for granted, it's because you've either A, not upgraded your operating script, or B, you've slipped backwards and into the thought process of an older one. In other words, you disrupted the comfort of your own status quo, the comfort of your own comfort zone, and you got bumped out of it. See, I believe that the whole purpose of rewriting your operating script is so that you can beat who you were yesterday and take a closer step into becoming who you should be. That's what we're doing here, right? I don't want you to be thinking or talking or feeling like success is about revenge, or that when you lose a friend it's about revenge, or when you end up with a relationship that passes, it's not about, you shouldn't live your life for revenge or wanting to prove them wrong. How do you get positive from negative? How do you get explosive growth from sewer? It doesn't work that way. You don't get to say, well, I hate these people. I'm going to use that hate to grow things. There's all kinds of social media memes that talk to that. Well, they're wrong. You can't go forward in life with hate towards a person, towards a situation, towards something, and expect to get happiness out of it. Watching your supposed air quote enemy or frenemy or somebody that just it didn't work out between you, whether it was financially or whether it was physically or whether it was emotionally. You can't spend your time plotting and planning and hoping for their demise and expect to be happy. It's like a cancer in your own soul. It'll keep coming up. It'll keep coming back. Like I remember I've been asked a few times, well, you've had a few marriages, what happened? And I would say, we outgrew each other and we learned. No, they don't want that. They don't want, no. That's not that's not the answer they want. They want the nitty gritty, dirty details. They want to know the poison is still there in your veins. Yes, tell me your poison. Get the freak out of my face. That's not how this works. That's not changing your operating script. That's demanding or pushing yourself back into, I am not going to sit around and spend any more effort than absolutely have to thinking about my first marriage. I already see by the way they treat people that they're the same. There's no reason for energy there. I already see by the way they respond to me. See, I'm the bad guy. Hi, David L. Parker here. I'm the bad guy. That's right. I'm the bad guy because I adopted the grandsons and they still can't believe the courts would let me do it because he's such a piece of shit. What? Are you kidding me now? That is like the worst operating script in the world. And I can't allow that around me. I can't allow me to think that way. I can't allow you to think that way. You can't look at things and go, oh, what a piece of garbage. Oh, what a terrible person. Throwing rocks at people? Come on. Remember, this was all about feeling like you were taken for granted and not letting those hurt emotions turn into revenge. Not letting those hurt emotions become something that writes a check that your relationship can't handle. Because sometimes when those checks bounce, let me tell you something, when it bounces, it hurts everybody. But sometimes when those check bounces, and the person goes to cash it, it's the end of a great relationship. Over what? Revenge?
You've been listening to Attitudeshield, your double dose of espresso for your attitude. Check us out on Facebook and on the web at www.attitudeshield.com. Again, thanks for spending this time with us. Between now and when we talk again, keep those shields up, eyes on the target, and always be moving towards your dreams.